Hello, Stampers. It's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I'm here tonight with you for Facebook Live. And tonight I'm going to show you 3 fun 3D projects and no stamping. We're just going to be doing some scoring and some gluing and tying some ribbon and making some really fun projects. So thank you so much for joining me. If you'll just give me a minute, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that we're all on the same page here. I'm getting my computer up so I can see what's going on here. All right, I'm logging on and making sure on my computer just so that I'm not, I can make sure all the connections are good. If you're joining in, go ahead and let me know you're here. All right, I just realized, I'm so sorry I have to do this to you, but it seems a little blurry to me, so I do need to, wipe off my lens. Okay, I think we're all set. I see a couple people are on. Welcome to everyone. I'm so glad you can join me. And I don't know if you saw in the comments, hopefully you did. I tried to do it a little bit early. Next time I do a project where I'm gonna give you the dimensions, I'll try to do it a little bit earlier in the day. I just kind of had a little bit of an afterthought that it might be fun if you could join along in doing the actual scoring and creating the project at the same time. So if not tonight, you can always do it next time. And on the replay, you can always come back and pause the video if you need to. And I will be listing the dimensions of everything in the description when we get done. So these are the projects that we're going to make. As I said, no stamping at all tonight. It's just going to be the scoreboard, some really pretty papers, and some fun. So let's go ahead and get started. And again, if you're joining me and you've never joined me before, I'd like to say welcome and thank you so much for spending your Monday evening with me. And if you've been here before, thanks so much for coming back. I always enjoy seeing all of my friends, and I call you all friends, on when you join, it tells me that you're watching. So I appreciate that so much. All right, I'm going to put these 2 projects aside, and I'll show you each of them as I create them and kind of what they do and what they are. This is the first one that we're going to create. And this has one of the little library clips on the top. Those will be retiring. And that just pops off. And so it gives you, like, this is 5 inches tall. And so it gives you quite a bit of room to put some candy or treats or something in there. And then you can put the little binder clip, or I think they call it library clip, right back on there. And I did a bow. So I'm going to make a different color this time. This time I'm going to use Mango Melody. Let me get my scoreboard here, my scoring tool. And this is a 6x6 piece of paper. Stampin' Up! Sells these in packs of each of the different, so we sell them in brights. So it comes with all the bright colors, the subtles, the in colors, and they're just really fun. So they have different patterns on the back, and you can see this is an even different pattern. There's some writing on the back of this one. So this is what I'm going to use for this. So again, this is 6x6, and when you're using designer paper, you don't want to push really hard because it will tear through your paper. And also I noticed that I'm using there's a smaller stylus end and a larger. I use the larger, and it tends to not rip through the paper so bad. So we're going to score this on 1 1/4 inches. And then we're going to turn it. So now the score I just did is right down here. And we're going to score this at 1 1/4 and just go very lightly. 2 1/2, 3 3/4, and 5. Patricia's asking me how the remodeling's going. We're pretty much done, although we keep adding some things to the honey-do list. But we're mostly just waiting for our carpet to be installed. And here in Michigan, construction has not, it's not been lifted, the order. So we don't know. We need to call and find out if they're going to let us get our carpet installed. So I'm really sad about that. Although we have nice hardwood floors underneath, it's just not what we're looking for. And we ordered furniture, so we can't get the furniture till we get the carpet. So, okay, so now this is the piece of paper, and I know it's really hard to tell. This is the 1 1/4 inch that we scored here. These are the lines that we just scored here. Can I just ask, did anybody else get the, and if you did, just leave me a comment and let me know. Is anyone else following along with did you cut the pieces of paper and you're following along with me right now? Because I'll try to go just a little bit slower, but if not, I'll just move along at my regular pace, and I'll kind of, if someone is following me along, I'll watch a little more closely to see if there are questions. Okay, Tony says she is, so okay. All right, so Tony, if you have any questions or anyone else, I'm going to try to watch the comments just in case anyone has a question as we're going along. So, all right, let's go. So we have everything scored now, and these are the lines going this way. Here's the line here. You'll notice at the bottom, these are squares. I don't think you can tell better on this side. These are all squares, and then there's a little rectangle at the end. We're actually going to cut that rectangle off. And depending on your paper, sometimes it's really hard to actually see the score lines really well. So you just have to be careful in what paper you're choosing and decide if you're gonna, sometimes it helps if you fold that up like that first. Sometimes it helps if you cut from the other side. So we're just gonna cut up on all 4 of those score lines there. Then we're gonna go ahead and use our bone folder. Now we wanna fold in whatever, this is gonna be my outside. So you're gonna fold it just like you would be assembling it. And so again, just be careful when you're using your designer paper. You don't want to push too hard so that you rip it. It's a little more fragile than cardstock would be. Okay, so now we're going to form our box. What we need to do, there's a little tab here that's not quite the same as all of these. It's where we cut this little corner off. We are going to fold that down, and we're going to put adhesive right along this edge. I'm going to use liquid adhesive. And I want to make sure and get it along the edge so that all of my edges stay good and adhered. Okay, so now that's there. You should be able to just fold this right over. And since I'm using liquid adhesive, if I need to maneuver this at all, but I really didn't because the way it scored is perfect. So now the box is perfectly square here. Now I like to always keep my where the corner came together to the back of the box. So this is the back of mine. So I'm going to put this piece down first. Again, this is my back, and then I'm going to fold these down over it. So I'm just going to put a little adhesive, and this is the multi-purpose adhesive in case you haven't seen me use it before. I took it out and I put it in this container because it's a little bit smaller and easier to handle. It comes out in a finer line. All right, so I'm going to put those together and put this down and then turn it over, and I'll use my bone folder just to make sure it's real good and adhered. Now at this point you have a choice. You could leave your box this way. You could put a little handle on it. And I just realized that I forgot to bring a library clip, so I'm going to steal it from my other one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers, so this is the back of my box, and I'm going to just, I'll do it this way so you can see. Using my fingers, I'm going to push it together like this. And then I'm going to take my library clip and put it right on top. Now, if you don't have library clips, you can use any clip that you have. You could also use a hole punch and punch some holes in the top and then wind some baker's twine in through there and tie a little bow to keep it closed. So there are a couple different options that you could do there. Now, I'm going to show you one of my favorite little punches from the catalog. It is the Daisy Punch, and this is in the current catalog right now. And I'm going to cut 2 daisies. This is the smaller of the two daisy punches. And then I'm going to take the 1/2 inch punch. And this is retiring, you guys. I'm really sad. The 1/2 inch punches. And I'm going to punch that out. Now, I like to add a little texture to my daisy. So I take my bone folder and I just kind of curl up the sides. Diane says she's watching while she's waiting for her Chinese food to be ready. I'm having leftovers tonight. Leftover pulled pork. It's not my husband's favorite, but it's leftover. So that's what we're having as soon as I'm done with live. All right, so I'm just going to layer those up. And then I'm actually going to take a dimensional and put there. And I'm going to put my center, which I cut from Mango Melody, right there. And then I'm going to put one more dimensional on the back. Diane, if you have to leave, you can always come back after and watch the replay if you need to. I don't want to disturb your dinner. Okay, I have a dimensional on the back, and I'm going to put that right there. So I did forget to put my treats inside because I always like to put treats. And right now, since I haven't really been to the store, I had to go looking in my cupboard to see what I had. And these are from World Market. They are dark chocolate. I always tell everybody I test everything so that I can tell you these are good. I'm never really going to recommend something unless it looks really cute in the packaging, and then I'll tell you it's not my favorite, but it looks really cute. So I can get 4 of those in there. That's a delicious little treat for somebody. Who wouldn't love to get some chocolates? And then I'm going to put my clip back on there. How cute is that? Mango Melody is one of my favorite bright, cheery colors. And I was just sharing with someone today, I'm really a brights kind of person. So all of the brights I love so much. So there is that one. Now I'm going to show you project number 2. And this one I originally created for an Easter project. And so it could be used for really anything. And the ribbon just slides off and it's going to open up. And I have some little mints in there. Now I did discover this Ghirardelli chocolate would fit perfectly in there too. I'm not exactly sure because I haven't tested it, but probably a tea bag. But if it didn't, you could just make this a little bit wider because this is 3 inches. And if you made it just a little bit wider, and still the same length, you would be able to put the tea bag in there if it didn't quite fit. So those are your options for that. So let me show you how to create this one. So for this one, Tony and anyone else that is following along, this is where you're going to need the 3-inch piece of cardstock by 8.5 inches. So for this one, we need, this is 3 inches by 8.5. I have a little scrap. This is Poppy Parade, a little scrap of Poppy Parade. That's going to be the inside of my daisy. I have a piece of designer paper. Again, this is from the 6x6 stacks. And, oh my gosh, I'm so distracted by Diane. She puts her phone in the holder and she leaves my video going. All right. Well, whatever you have to do to be able to watch it later. And I hope you can get some motivation, Diane. That's why I'm doing these, to help motivate and make people happy. So this designer paper is 2 7/8 by 2 3/8. This one is 2 7/8 by 1 7/8. And then again, we need our scoreboard. I'm going to set my sample aside. And then we are going to score just a couple score lines, 2 inches, 2.5, 5 inches, 5.5, and 8. And then we do want to take our bone folder and go ahead and burnish all of the score lines here. If you're just joining in, I want to say hello and thanks so much for joining me. I'm glad you came for a little bit of inspiration tonight. If you're here, leave me a comment and let me know you're here and where you're watching from. Send me a little emoji. Tell me if you like the projects or if it's something that you might like to do, might like to create sometime, or you would definitely create. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with when you burnish all the score lines. Now, this piece down here is the little 1/2-inch score line. We're going to take our, I used to have the name on this, the Trio Punch. And this is the corner rounder. So again, this is the little 1/2-inch mark down here at the very top. We're going to round the corners just at the top. Now this piece of designer paper, again, this is 2 7/8 by 1 7/8, is going to go up here. So we want to score the bottom. Now, if you're using paper that is directional, you're going to want to make sure that you're rounding the correct corner. On this one, it won't matter because I could turn it upside down if I needed to. But if it was directional, you would want to make sure. Okay, so that piece is going to go here. I'm going to get my adhesive. And again, you can use whatever adhesive, snail or the liquid adhesive, whatever you like. And I'm going to put this on here at that top flap. I'm going to turn it over, and the other piece of designer paper is going to go right here. So just make sure that you have it going in the right direction. And I'm going to make sure one more time, because if I'm going to do it wrong, it's going to be in front of everybody right on camera, and then I won't be able to get it off. All right, and that's going to go here. So your paper is basically going to look like this. All right, so now at this point is when we would want to put our candy in there. And how I secured mine is just a little piece of tear and tape. And I'm going to take the backing off. And I think this time I'll put the chocolate in there, the Ghirardelli chocolate. So that's all ready to go. Now on my first one, I didn't have this little tab. That just kind of holds the box together a little bit to make it a little bit stronger so it's not flimsy. Now I'm going to use this ribbon here. This is the textured weave ribbon, and this is in Poppy Parade. And I might do it a little different. Last time I tied it around, I'll show you in a second. I tied it from top to bottom. This time I think I'm going to tie it this way. And I'm not actually going to tie a bow. I'm going to tie just a knot in this one. I love this ribbon. This is going to be retiring. It's in Poppy Parade and Granny Apple Green, two of my favorite colors right now. Okay, so there's my knot. Just going to cut the edges off a little bit. And I think I tied that a little too tight. It probably shouldn't be squeezing that much. I probably should loosen it just a little bit. I think I was afraid it was getting away. There we go. Okay, and now we need to make a couple more of our daisies. And I always do 2 to give it a little more texture. And then I'm going to take my 1/2-inch punch. Oh, we have Kieran is watching from Australia right now. Kieran, what time is it there? I'm off with time, but I know it must be way off of our time right now. Today was a beautiful day in Michigan. I was real happy with the weather, although I spent most of the day inside, but it was very spring-like weather. For you in Florida, it probably was not very spring-like. I believe it was around 55 today. So in Florida, you guys would probably be shivering if it was 55 there. But it felt good here in Michigan. All right, so I'm going to create this daisy just like I did the other one. Okay, if you're here, don't leave, because the last project is a fabulous box. I'm hoping that I got all of the measurements just right, but it's an easy box. I don't want you to feel nervous about it, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be your new favorite box, I swear. Okay, I'm just picking up some of my supplies. So now I have a dimensional on the back of here, and I'm just going to stick this. I'm going to pull this ribbon down just a touch, and I'm going to put the bow up here. So I did that one this way, and this one you can see I tied the ribbon this way, and I actually kind of like it better this way. What do you think? Do you like the ribbon tied this way or around the top this way? And I kind of like the checkers better. So that is project number 2. Now, this is project number 3. And I found this project. It was through a company called Doodlebug. There was no video. I had to make a couple changes on the box, but the company was Doodlebug, so I am casing this, but I thought it was so cute. So when you open it up, it's a box in a box. So this box, it's a tight fit, but it fits. So it's pretty fancy that way. But then this gives you the opportunity to put a few more things in it. A Ferrero Rocher would fit in there. If you had a really small little gift, it would fit in there. And then I'll turn it sideways so you can see what it looks like closing. It's got that angle, comes down, and I did put the daisy right here on the front, and I tied some of the white tulle ribbon around. So Rhonda says she likes the one on the left better. I agree, Rhonda. I kind of like that one a little bit better. I like them both. I just think maybe my eye is more drawn to the poppy. Okay, so what you're going to need for this, it's already 9:30 on Tuesday morning, Karen says, in Australia. So she has already slept Monday night. She's ready to go. It's Tuesday morning. That's really, I guess I didn't realize there was that much time difference. Well, thanks for joining me this Tuesday morning. Okay, we need to do some scoring and some cutting. And Tony, I forgot to tell you, if you can, real quick, while I'm explaining, grab a ruler or something with a straight edge so that you can make a straight edge. If anyone else is following along, remember, if you joined in late, just leave a comment. And if I see someone have a question, I'll be happy to stop and just clarify for you what we're doing. All right, Tony's got one with her. We need a piece of designer paper cut at 6 by 8.5. And I want to show you this paper. It's going to be retiring. It's in the annual catalog. It's the Noble Peacock Specialty Designer Paper. And the colors are Blueberry Bushel, Old Olive, and Pretty Peacock. And I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm going to try to set my book down here so I don't make a mess. This paper is so beautiful in person. It's very sparkly, and sometimes it's really hard. Now, hopefully you're going to be able to see it and not, and it's not too shiny on screen for you to see, but it's foil paper. And so it has some different patterns in it. And I'm turning it just a little bit, so hopefully you can see it. It's really, really pretty. So after this catalog, this will be retired, along with, this is the Blueberry Bushel, that will also be retired. So if you need some coordinating cardstock, be sure and pick that up too. So now let's get back to measurements. This is 6 by 8.5. This piece right here is 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. And we are going to be doing some scoring and some cutting and some gluing. So let me get my scoreboard. And this again is Blueberry Bushel. And we are going to score at 1 7/8 on all 4 sides. This is what's going to form our box that goes on the inside. Now, when you're choosing your designer paper, try to choose one. Now, the back of this, these are not double-sided. This one is white on the back. And when you go to do some of your scoring, you'll see why it's very important to score that way. So on the 8.5 inch side, we're going to score, and again, this is designer paper, so be real careful, at 1/2 inch, 2.5, 4.5, and 6.5. Now we're going to turn it, and we're going to score at 2 and at 4. Now, some people say to score one way or another, but if I was scoring on this side, it would be really hard for me to see what I'm about to do next. So I could have done the other scoring that way and did this, what I'm going to do now on this side, but it's just easier for me to see on this white side. So you'll have to choose when you're doing yours how you want to do it. Now, once it is all scored, there's a whole bunch of squares you can see. But at this very bottom row, this is when we had it turned on the 8.5 inch side that we scored at 1/2 inch. We want that to be on the bottom. And now we're going to do a little bit of scoring. We want to come in at 1.5 inch, and we're only going to score to this first score line right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines. We're going to score down to that first score line. We're not going to score in this box. Now we're going to come to this third box. Again, we're going to score just in that box. So your score line goes here and here. We did it here. We skipped it here. We did it here. We're going to skip it here. We're going to do it on this little one. And now we need to do it on this side as well at 4.5. So we're going to do, again, down to that first score line. Then we're going to skip this square. We're going to pick it up again. Down to that score line. We're going to skip this square. And then down on the bottom score line. All right, that is it for scoring. Everyone still with me? Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our paper snips and we're going to cut up on all those score lines from the bottom all the way across. Just up to that first score line. So we're cutting on the 8.5 inch side up these 4 score lines to this first score line that goes the opposite way. Now we're going to turn our paper around and do the same thing on the other side. Right up to that first score line. Okay, now we have that all done. Now we need to cut a few pieces out. So I'm going to turn it this way. This is the little 1/2 inch score line. And this is that little score line that we did. Score line here, none here, some here, none here. Now down at the end, hopefully you can see, this is the 1/2 inch score line. There's a little square right here. We're going to cut that end off. Okay, so this is a little flap like this. So I'm going to fold that over, and I'm going to fold this one over. Now, where this one has the little score line on it, I'm going to cut this piece off, right, everything above the score line, and now it's just a little tab. Hopefully you can see that it's just a little tab. Okay, so now I'm going to fold that down. Now this one has no scoring, again, so I'm going to fold that in. This one has scoring, and I'm going to cut this piece off. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and do exactly the same thing on the other side. Okay, cut that piece off. I'm going to fold it in, fold that one in. This one has the score line, the little 1.5 inch score line. So I'm going to cut that off. Fold that in. This one has no scoring. And now I'm again at the end. Just push my scraps to the side. If you like to save those, you can. And so now your piece is going to look like this. And so at this time, I'm going to just go ahead and fold in all of the, or burnish all of the score lines to make sure that I have a really nice, good fold here. And I would just like to say, if you are following me on YouTube right now or finding my video on YouTube, come on over to Facebook at facebook.com/stampitwithdebbie and join us over there for some inspiration and contests and some other different things that we like to hold over there that you don't always get to see here on on YouTube. So again, that's facebook.com/stampitwithdebbie. Okay, so now your piece is going to look like this. And now what we need to do is, this is where we need our ruler. And with the half-inch piece right there at the top, that's the half-inch part that we had the little tab, we're going to line up at that corner over to this corner. And we're going to take a pencil and make a line. So it's going to go from the corner, not on the tab, where the tab is, but not this whole corner of the square. So now we're going to do the same thing here. Go from the corner of this tab down to that corner. And then we need to do the same thing over on this side. And then, whoops, once more. Oh, my ruler keeps getting stuck and I can't get it off the table. Okay, so there's that part. Now we want to cut these pieces off, these little parts that we just did. Let me show you this real quick. So this is exactly what I have right here, only see these X's? Those all need to be cut off. All right? So we're just going to take our paper snips and cut from one corner. If you want to, you can do it with your paper trimmer. I'm just going to do it with my paper snips. Cut all 4 of those corners off. Okay, one more time. I'm going to push those scraps out of the way. And now we're ready to start putting this together. So we're going to fold these 2 little tabs in right here. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on those. And then I'm going to fold it in because this is going to make the top part of the box. I'm just going to fold it in and hold it for just a second because I'm using the liquid adhesive. Now, if you want to use tear and tape, you could do that. And then I'm going to hold it on the other side. And now this tab right here is going to get adhesive and it's going to come in. The tab is going to go on the inside. Now, one thing you'll notice, I'll turn it sideways so you can see, this is the angle we cut, and this is an extra little tab. If you want, you can glue it and then cut it later so it makes a perfect angle. Or if you wanted to, you could take your paper snips right now and just cut a corner like that. Now, it may not line up perfectly on the inside when you're all done, but you have an option of how you want to do it. So I did cut that corner, so you can see I didn't measure, I just did a little bit of snipping there. You can do it either way. I'm going to put some adhesive on here. And that little tab right here is going to go to the inside of your box, to the inside of that angled part. It's forming part of a box. And so there you go, one more time. One thing I forgot to say is don't put adhesive all the way to the end because that's what you'll be cutting off and it'll tend to gum up your scissors a little. So now I did cut that other one off. I'm going to go cut this one off right here. And it does get a little awkward cutting that off. So I probably in the future would just cut it off before I started. And now this is going to be the front of our box right here. The front where the other box fits in. So this will be the bottom part. This is going to be the lid. So we're not going to glue that to here. We're just going to take this top flap right here, put adhesive right on these two little flaps. And again, we're not going to put a lot of adhesive right here because this is where it's coming forward here. So if you want to at this time, cut that corner off. I'm going to cut both of mine off this time. And then I'll put some adhesive on this. And that's just going to fit right inside of the box. Same thing with the other side. And you do need to just hold it for a minute. Hi, Sylvia. I see Sylvia's watching from New Zealand. Sylvia, we have someone from Australia. What time is it in New Zealand right now? I'm just curious. It's 7:30 p.m. here in Michigan. And in the United States, we have different time zones. So if someone has a different time zone, they could tell you what time it is there. But here in Michigan, it's 7:30 p.m. Okay, so here is my box. And the lid fits down, and you can see you have this nice little triangle cut right here and here. But now we need to get our box to go on the inside. So this is the piece that we cut before, that again is 5 5/8 by 5 5/8, scored at 1 7/8 on all four sides. Oh, it's 11:40, so you're not too far behind where Kieran is right now. It's 9:30 at her place, 9:30 a.m. Okay, so we're going to cut up on this score line and cut up on the score line. And now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut up on this score line to the first score line and one more time to the first score line. So now this is what you end up with. 3 little squares over there, 3 little squares over here. So again, we need to use our bone folder. Just going to get rid of my trash here real quick. And we're going to burnish all 4 sides. We just want to make sure that we have a nice fold. So when we go to put our box together, it doesn't resist us. Okay, so you might have a favorite way of putting yours together. I'm going to take my center square right here and put some adhesive. This is the center square, just folded into the middle square here, folded into the center. And I always do mine 2 at a time, but if you're doing yours and you like to do one side at a time, that's okay too. And then I'm just going to bring one of my sides up to form the box. I'll show you a different angle on this side. So I'm bringing this flap right here over to form the box. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put adhesive on these 2 and just fold it up, and that will create my box for me. And you do want to make sure whatever adhesive you're using that you get to the corners so that you don't have a chance that it's going to pull away at those corners. And you do want to just hold it so that your adhesive adheres really well. And then this box fits right nicely inside of that other box that we made, and you can put some treats in there. And I was kind of thinking, I'm always wondering, when the catalog comes out, I buy washi tape, and then every once in a while I think, oh, what am I going to do with that? And so I saw this cute idea. So this is one of the thinner washi tapes, and it does happen to have blueberry bushel in it. And this is a tea light candle, and I saw an idea that you just wrap the washi tape, and it just gives it a little decoration. What I do with my paper snips. And so that tea light candle will fit right down inside. Actually, 3 tea light candles, and I won't decorate all 3 of them. But the other thing that I think will fit in there, so if you had a Ferrero Rocher, I always say that wrong, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. These little Hershey nuggets, and sorry to the ladies that, Sylvia and Kieran, I don't know if you have these where you're at, but these are Hershey nuggets, and these have toffee and almonds in them. They're so delicious. I tested those out too, don't worry. But any small candle or candy will fit inside of here. So I'm just going to put 4 of these in here. And I bet you ladies have some kind of fun candy that you could, from where you're at, you could put inside of there. So that I'm sure I'd be very jealous. So there is the box. And now I'm going to take some of the polka dot tulle ribbon and my paper snips. And now I didn't do any stamping on any of these projects, but if you wanted to include a little tag that said for you or something else, you definitely could do that. I just wanted to keep it simple because the boxes are already pretty, a lot of detail, and I know sometimes people get intimidated by them, but hopefully this was good and you didn't have any trouble. Tony, are you still with me? I know Tony was working alongside of me because I had put out the dimensions of the paper before, so hopefully you're still here, and let me know if you have any. Okay, I've done. Okay, did you have any questions, Tony, before we log off? I just want to make sure to help you while I'm creating my daisy here. Let me know if you had any questions at all, please, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So this is the last one that I'm creating, the daisy. Okay, good. Well, thanks for playing along with me tonight. It's always fun to... I'll try to do that more often. I'll try to get you all a supply list before we start, and that way if you want to, you can cut some paper and work alongside of me. That would be a lot of fun. And then, oh, I put glue on this one instead of a dimensional, but that's okay. The other ones I put a dimensional. So for any of you here, I know I do have some demo friends on here, and I can't service the people that are out of the United States, but for anybody else that's here, if you haven't had a chance to check out the Last Chance products, be sure and do that. Some of the products have already sold out, and we will be having a new catalog come out soon, which means some of those products that are on the Last Chance list won't be back. Once we sell out, they'll be gone forever. So you want to make sure and check out there. Some of them are up to 60% off in price, and some great prices on punches and the dies and paper and different things like that. So if you would like to make a purchase, you can visit my online store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. And I will put a host code up in the top. If you place an order of $50 or more, I will be sending you a surprise gift in the mail. If you've already placed an order, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for sending me some hugs and some love emojis. I really appreciate that. I'm just waiting for my order of those gifts to come in, and then I'll be sending them out to you. So know that I really appreciate the orders that you have already placed, and I look forward to seeing you again the rest of this week. I'll be doing some more projects, and I'll try to get the project lists out a little bit sooner. If you would you like that? Would you guys like to play along and kind of use your own product? So maybe I can get the projects done a little sooner. leave me a comment if you would be interested in that, and I'll try to make it a habit to get that done. So again, these are the projects. Leave me a comment. Let me know which one was your very favorite. And I hope to see you again tomorrow night, right back here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day tomorrow, and I hope your weather is beautiful, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.